All right, everyone. Thank you for joining with us today. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. So today we have a session, Salesforce Data Cloud, data model, and we can talk about the data model of data cloud. And we can see how the setup of data cloud look like and how we can do the setup. And we can see how we can connect sales, service, and marketing cloud to data cloud. All right. So these are all the pretty basic when we start working with the data cloud. So initially we had a couple of sessions on discovery, implementation, architecture. Now we would like to talk about the real fundamental principles of data cloud, which is nothing but the model, setup, connectors of sales, service, and marketing. However, we have a couple of sessions which is going on in the next couple of days. So let me go back and show you that session. So all the sessions you can observe here and you can find out here. Today we're covering episode 1.5 for data cloud. And we have tomorrow session 1.6, which is data cloud, data streams. So we would like to talk about how we would love to connect different data sources to data cloud. And which is nothing but we're covering two data source systems. One is Interaction Studio, the other one AWS S3 location to data cloud. Upon connecting, how we can design the data model and how we map the canonical information model to source tables and the best practices as well. All right. And we have a couple of sessions happening in this week. On March 2nd, we have a marketing cloud journey builder is going to kickstart. And this journey builder, we had automation journey builder. Some of the automation journey builder sessions are happening in this week. So after that, we had next week, we have CDP sessions again on Tuesday and Wednesday, which is Google Cloud Storage, as well as mobile app, how to connect the mobile app and web app to bring the data cloud or the events from data cloud, events from different websites and mobile apps to data cloud. All right. So if anyone want to, look at and register the sessions for an upcoming sessions with Singapore Part our group. So here is a link that I'm going to paste it in chat. You can go and then register for the future sessions. All right, so let's jump into our today's session, our data models, data cloud setup, how we can connecting sales, service, and marketing cloud to data cloud, and some of the best practices and some of the things which everyone should aware of how while connecting sales, service, and marketing cloud to data cloud. All right. Coming to myself Anindra, and I'm a Chief Technology Evangelist with Epistoki. I'm a Salesforce MVP, and I'm an enterprise architect as well, working with the different systems of cloud. I'm a group leader for Singapore Salesforce Marketers as well as Slack chapter, and have pretty good amount of certifications. And I'm a MuleSoft industry GTM champion as well. And I'm a mentor, Dreamforce speaker, and you can follow my blog as well, and you can connect with me on Twitter and LinkedIn. All right, thank you. So I'm not sure how many of them have joined my last session, but would like to give some sort of a brief about a data cloud. And this has been renamed. Of course, we know a lot of names have been come up from the last couple of months. Starting from Dreamforce, we have Genie has been introduced. And after that, we have Customer Data Cloud, Customer 360 Audiences, and Salesforce CDP, right? So these are all some of the common names what we heard from last couple of months, but now this has been erased and then kept as Salesforce Data Cloud. So this has been introduced on Feb 14th of 2023. And during this transition, you may see the same references across the Salesforce help and documentation, but don't worry. So Salesforce is working towards to update the right cloud, the data cloud, which is going to be renamed wherever it resides and wherever it references has been included. So if you want to see a data cloud documentation, so there is a link which I have given all the data cloud documentation. You can just go through this link. So this link will help you out for complete data cloud documentation, which include the setup and which include all these terms. What are all the data cloud changes? What are all the data cloud data model? And what are all the personalization for each and every persona? So we're giving you this link as well in the chat. I can go through this as well. Right. Yeah. So on a briefly, I would like to talk about a 1 minute about a data cloud. What is data cloud? Data Cloud is a real-time platform for customer magic. So this is entirely built on Salesforce platform. Now with the customer data platform, we have the same capabilities. So don't surprise, Data Cloud comes with different set of functions and capabilities, but it's exactly the same. It's just a name change. On top of name change, Salesforce is bringing towards some more features to be adding with the Data Cloud, along with some zero data privacy policies. And this gives a lot of flexibility from the real-time customer instance perspective, as well as it gives a single view of your customer across any cloud. So what it does is the Data Cloud is the same exactly like CDP. So it brings the data from different sources of systems and harmonizing all the data into a single customer graph, which is Customer 360. And it empowers every team at your organization with unified customer profiles. So you can use the profiles to give teams everything they need to know about your customers, as well as they interact with your business as well. So once we design a unified profile, so as you're all aware of it, all this is going to be happening in one single platform with only clicks, not load. And you could design in such a way, the platform is so easy to harmonize, at the same time easy to drag and drop. And that gives you a complete magic of customer experiences at a complete different scale. So that's what a holistic view of a data cloud. This gives some sort of information for sure for today's audience. It's coming back to our today's topic, a data model. I'm not sure how many of them have gone through data cloud data model. It's pretty design and a whole enterprise level with the mindset. And this mindset which comes to bring towards our complete CIM structure. So in today's world, how we integrate our products today. So everything is connected via point-to-point integration. So when you're working with different systems or different enterprise systems, you always concerned about how we connect Salesforce to SAP, Salesforce to Oracle, or Salesforce to Heroku, or how we are connecting the Salesforce data.com to our different platforms altogether. So it's all connected via point-to-point integration, but nevertheless, each and every source system has their own metadata architecture driven, which comes and works with the fundamental principles of a data modeling, right? So when I talk about our Salesforce Sales Service Cloud, our core platform, which is built on platform, it's completely metadata architecture, all right? And there is a system of Heroku. So the Heroku is just designed in the principles of AWS principles, where they have their own system of services to be flexibly add into an add-ons. And there is a concept of Tableau. The Tableau has a lot of connectors to connect to multiple systems to bring the data and then showcase a visualization for the customers. So it's all like a point-to-point where you talk about a system to system. So it's all a point-to-point integration. Prashant is not here. So probably Mashan, I'll give you a co-host access. Probably if you see any of them who's turning their audio, probably can mute them. Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry for the delay. So let's get back to our point-to-point integration topic. So with this kind of a system of silos we are and doing a point-to-point integration, which gives a lot of effort, a lot of resources are required, and the cost which is going to be up and running from each project to project wise, right? So in order to eliminate all this point-to-point integrations, so we have a common language that helps our data challenges in the today's world. I know most of them, the common information model, the CIM structure, which is a shade model for all the properties to map to consumer from, and it removes point-to-point as well. So what it does is, the common information model, which is completely designed inside your data cloud, that gives a lot of flexibility from an enterprise systems perspective. So what it does is, it'll just bring and connecting with the core systems of your data model, your force.com domain data model, which contains Sales Service Cloud, Experience Cloud, and other clouds, Loyalty Cloud, which is sitting on Salesforce, the base force.com platform. And we do have Marketing Cloud data model, a Marketing Cloud marketing system, And we have our Commerce Cloud data model as well. And we do have Heroku data model. So while bringing all the systems together to define a common information model, so that's where it gives a lot of flexibility inside our data model, other data cloud. So we're going to talk about in the next couple of slides about what is CIM, how it helps us for making our lives easier. So that's where the enterprise teams have been built a CIM model inside the data cloud to give some more flexibility from the source systems to design a unified profile. So there is one more name of CIM. So ideally, the CIM is a framework which is working with the backend canonical data model. The CIM will help you out to solve several challenges. So that enables a product integration and that enables a better analytics, app integration, support business concerns as well. So I think there are some questions or anything. So I think I'll take it up this question, Srikanth, probably, when we start doing a demo. So probably in that time, I'll definitely going to answer that questions. What is the difference between transactional versus your commercial kind of emails? So when you look at your canonical data model, so that helps you solve several challenges with different system of record. So it helps you out to product integration. You can integrate your B2C Commerce Cloud, your product and transactional data to your data cloud. That gives you a lot of comfort for you to ingest a different set of tables like sales order or customers or sales history, purchase history, your abandoned cart data. So all this data which you can design into one single source of database tables inside your CAM. And the same data can enable for building analytics to connect with Tableau and then build some analytics. And at the same time, we could use this data that you could send it to different systems through a packaging and data kits you can deploy. And at the same time, you can use that for your business concerns, because plenty of fuzzy data coming from different systems where you can use your unification of identity rule sets, and you could design some fuzzy rules to act upon, and then you could design a golden record, and that increase your business process and that increase your support of your business concerns as well. So let's talk about a scenario. So how do we identify customers to target? So ideally in a real-time scenario, so the real-time world, there's a complex marketing scenarios requires a single source of truth to relate different data sets. Let's take an example of me, an individual or 40 years old who have opened an emails for higher efficiency with the last 90 days. And he don't have any open support cases who have purchased an appliance in the last 5 years. So it contains, if you look at the scenario, it has an individual profile, it has marketing cloud engagement data, and at the same time, it has the service cloud data, and it has your B2C commerce cloud data as well, because he's purchased an appliance from last 5 years, which is B2C commerce data, transactional data, who have a mobile phone number, which is nothing but your unified profile, and the mobile phone number has been given, maybe a B2C commerce record. So these are all associating with a simple profile. So a person where we are bringing all the data together, and then we are unifying and then creating one single profile. So ideally, if you look at in Service Cloud, there are 2 contact records with Sam with the different emails, or there are 2 records with the name of Mustan with 2 different emails. One which has an open, and the one which has high severity case. So at the same time, when the Mustan has multiple orders who was placed in B2C Commerce Cloud, and the same order has been went through a partner channel in the data warehouse. So you can't able to say that the data is going to come from only one single source, because there are chances where the data has been sitting with different sources, but connecting the dots, each and every system has at least one attribute to be related, at least the name, or at least the last name, or a phone number, or a mobile number, or an email address. So at least we have some sort of identity to be designed, and then we can use that identity to build our data model for a better customer experience. So the biggest question when it goes to how do we link all records and all emails for effective segmentation and suppression? So that's a question from our Salesforce Ruth asking us. So if we look at how you're going to design, how you're going to segmentize and suppression for a better effectiveness of an email marketing. So if you look at data in from any data, like there are data coming from different sources, And what CDP does is, or what Data Cloud does is, it'll unify an identity. They'll use unification, identification, segmentation, and enrich the complete consent, and then they'll activate it. Once you activate it, that's what your golden record, which you can take back through your personalization to measure your success of KPIs and all the other elements. With the same data, you're using a data out operation for sending emails. Using Marketing Cloud, you could leverage different channels to send an email, to send an SMS, to send a push notifications. And you could use the same data for the client side and apps for sending some great advertising channels, using social channels, Google AdWords, and all this stuff. And you could use the same data for building a better analytics for the management. So you have a different kind of data outs, which you can increase your personalization and your measure of your success of KPIs as well. That's the goal of our Data Cloud, because they're reconciling everything and they're producing an individual record for us to better managing perspective. So what is a way to map, transform, and classify the data? So if you look at our marketing friendly, the marketer friendly, who don't want to see any duplicates in the platform, or who wanted to see some sort of a great data for him or her to leverage, the same record for multiple channels that makes him or his happier. So with that kind of a model to leverage not only for the marketers, you can leverage the same data cloud for Tableau, for analytics, and you could use the same data for different web apps. You can use the same data for your internal processing perspective. That's where Salesforce comes up with the best enterprise data framework, which is nothing but a CIM, a cloud information model. So what CIM does is, CIM has an out-of-the-box standard data model availability, because internal data cloud has their internal data model, standard data model, which is designed with a tightly coupled, and it describes your data using an out-of-the-box data model based on Salesforce information model. Because we are not going anywhere, we are just leveraging our Salesforce information model to build our standard data model on top of Data Cloud. The biggest question comes again, funny, we would love to, don't want to use a standard data model given by Data Cloud. Data Cloud given plenty of data objects, but I would like to extend and customize it. I have an ability, I would love to create more number of custom objects. I would like to create more number of custom fields for the standard object, like a Salesforce. Of course it does. That's where the CIM model has been structured in such a way it's more customizable and extendable as well. So you could easily extend the standard data models to include your unique data. At the same time, it's more marketer friendly. So as a marketer, you always think that you don't know how to write an SQL queries, or you don't know how to match the SQL functions. But altogether, you don't require any programmatic skills to do that. As a marketers can use the same platform, or a Tableau team can use the same platform for building a unified design system. And it's just like, drag and drop from what the source systems to your data model system. So it supports a data model that makes sense to marketers, and it can be denormalized, and which can leverage for a better view. Let's talk about now. So far, we talked about what does CIM does within the Data Cloud, but you should understand what is a perfect meaning of cloud information model. So the cloud information model is a framework which is designed with enterprise standards, and that can be leveraged by all the big enterprise companies. And this has been focused in such a way that it can be satisfied for a big number of records. And it has two kinds of models, one with conceptual model, the other one with canonical model. So the conceptual model comes with information semantics, and the canonical model comes with standard data exchange. So with this two conceptual and canonical model, you can build a best out of breed architecture patterns, which is ideally designed using cloud information model. So if you look at cloud information model, if requesting all the audience to go on and find out what is cloudinformation.org, it's an open data standard framework. It's the world's first enterprise standard enabling faster and easier integration model of entire cloud applications, not only for Salesforce. It's using even for data warehouse and other big Snowflake and other big systems are using the same architecture. So this is a complete community like Salesforce, where you can go on and just contribute your VFIDs. It has been developed under Linux foundations and open to all companies and individuals. So it has built reliable integrations. You can utilize multiple format available to communicate between different systems. And it is faster, and this is very faster. CM is very faster. And it adopts the modern standards for any use case. When we talk about bringing millions of records from Commerce Cloud with the different database tables, and that easily connecting with your CAM data model, which is in Data Cloud, and that was very fast. And it syncs the data, which is ideally super fast, using as I articulated in the last session, in the architecture session. It has been most number of services has been doing a lot of hectic job for us to transform our jobs and then producing a better results in Data Cloud. So let's talk about what is CAM for Salesforce. What is CAM for Data Cloud? So it's consistent exchange across Salesforce. So what CAM does is it will connect with all the systems of records within Salesforce, and it connect with different other Salesforce cloud services, not only for commerce, marketing, sales service. It connects for different other loyalty cloud, experience cloud, and other services as well. So let's take a step back. So what things we are talking about today? So what are we trying to achieve? What are you really understanding? The unified profile is. So finally, when we design a unified system of record using a CAM data model, so this is how it look like at the final stage. From historical order data, you're getting from the respective unified customer data, and you're getting a holistic case history, holistic marketing responses. Using all these source systems, our fundamental goal is to design one unified ID, and design within the unified ID. You can use that ID for your marketing cloud, or you can use this ID for your uniqueness of your Tableau for building a lot of analytics. And you can use this for connecting with the big systems to make your more productivity as well. So let's talk about now. We're going to consider our session is going to start, because now we're going to talk about the importance of a data model, how data model has been designed. So it's a structure, behavior plus view, because the structure is a data model, behavior is your logic, and view is your UI. So typically when calling as MVC, because our data model is a structure in which we recognize a complete elements of data and how they relate to one another using our objects, fields, and we can leverage our relationships as well. I'm going to showcase how the entire structure of Data Cloud is going to be look like, which include the logics behind it, and which includes the UI as well. First thing first, so let's call it an individual like me, but it also can look very different in other systems. Of course, it is. If we look at our data source lineage, it has data source names, tenant ID, data source object, records, times, and all the other system mod stamps. And the party identification is one of the object inside data information model, which is Data Cloud. So these are all some of the standard objects inside your Data Cloud: individual, party, object, contact point phone, contact point email, contact point address. Typically, if you look at your Salesforce identity architecture, if you look at Salesforce identity architecture, the same similar architecture that has been using inside the Data Cloud, because in our Salesforce consent management objects, we have the same consent objects called consent point phone, consent point email, consent point address, right? So the same sort of concept is which has been leveraged inside the Data Cloud. So each and every individual record has been connecting to multiple consent records, which is nothing but a different contact records for a better organizing perspective. So when you look at what is our cloud information model, so it has different entities altogether. One with standard subject area, which is really important. I would like to talk about that in our next slides. What is a standard subject area? What are all entities? Nothing but an objects, and an attributes within the entity, nothing but your columns for all your Salesforce products. The canonical model which is being designed to communicate between two different data formats, because when we talk about standardizing versus canonical versus conceptual, so the canonical was the pretty simple format of designing your communication between two different formats, because this has been a different structure altogether. It has a subject area, nothing but your one of the party data, It has an entity name, which is what is an entity that has been connecting with the party. Party is a main identifier, which has been connecting to an individual entity name. And within the entity, what are all the attributes has been designed. If you look at your subject area, entity group name, entity name has never been changed. Only the attributes within the entity group and subject area is going to be changed. So that's how the flexibility of enabling because you can use the same subject area for different tables. You can use the subject area for contact point. You can use subject area for contact email address, contact phone. So you could design the model for one-to-many or many-to-one. So this kind of canonical model can be helpful for managing our client's expectation for a better way. So if you look at your translation of data into a common model, today where we are currently looking into it is we have a common design pattern, which is one record with the different stories. Like the record is like so I'm working in a company and I'm working for my customer and a supplier. So I interacting with 2-3 accounts on a day-to-day basis via different phone number, email addresses, and I'm going to do on so time, right? So this is what today. When you talk about interacting with the different data sets or anything, to talk about tomorrow, so there are more intentional in these better support use cases, right? Because you can't use the same table for using for multiple things. There is a point of leveraging a party table, party roles, account table, contact point, consent table. So sometimes another service will come and saying that here I just want to leverage account, so that account will be flexible for managing so data. And the same account it could be leveraged for connecting with the party data. You have a complete industry's cross-cloud capabilities that enables the Salesforce providing a better intelligence. That's why this entire customer 360 data model has been designed for a better translation of data into a common model. Right now we are into the clumsy. Now we are moving into a proper structure, a better way of a better intelligence data model. So when you understand, what is a reference data model? So reference data model is always our internal blueprint that states our enterprise-wide data model direction. Because when you're looking at different objects inside your database, right? So, and you need to know what are all the relationships that we take care about formalizing your data library. Because each and every table has a relationship, and this relationship will help you out for bringing a relevant data from one source to another source of records, right? So the step number 1 is to reference the data model. Step number 2 is to design the canonical data model. So that's what the entire reference data model will help you out to build a more sophisticated way of direction of enterprise-wide data models. So if you look at different data model subject areas inside your, in a day-to-day data cloud for, if you look at sources, market, sell, fulfill, server, financial perspective, when you start from deployment from different software applications or software users, so there is a master data has been sitting and the source data has been sitting. So you could use this data for managing or connecting with different canonical intercepting of one standard data model to a canonical data model. So at the same time, you have complete transformation of your business domains into a CM standards. So I drill down an architecture with this. So this is the data cloud architecture for a data model. So we look at different data from an engagement to your loyalty or consent or your standard who is the person, when, and what is the person is going to do it, what are all the segmentation is person is going to done is, what are all the relationships between each and every model of a data cloud object. And if you look at complete overview of the entire customer 360 data model, you should understand. So the better way of doing it from a data cloud perspective. So now we talk about how we map the data. So now we understand what are all the subject areas available and what are all the data tables are available from a data cloud perspective. But we should understand how we map the data to a CIM model. CIM is the final destination model. In typical data model, we're calling as a data model object, DMOs. So if you look at an account, simple example. So we have an account, we have a contact, and how we are targeting to bring account and contact data into one single canonical individual data model. Because I don't want to take all this, I want to take the first name and I'm going to use the last name to map it to my family name. At the same time, I have a system called commerce, have a customer profile, first name, last name, and order address with first name, last name. I'm going to design one individual mapping to bring a source data into a CAM model, which is first name and family name. I'm going to showcase in demo how I'm going to drag and drop the right data models from a core to canonical, or commerce to canonical, or service to canonical. So this is a different kind of scenarios about the full potential of the canonical model, which is coming from different sources, one with commerce, one with Salesforce, and how the entire final data model has been look like while you're doing a mapping. This also I'm going to demonstrate how it look like. And using this canonical data model, which is nothing but your data cloud data model, they could design different kind of targets. You could target for Salesforce record store. You can target for machine learning. You can use for business intelligence. You could use for big data exploration, search indexing, customer 360 profile, or you can use it for customer resolution engine as well. So this canonical data change, you can work with different kind of systems as well. So when it talks to how is this cloud information model used in CDP? So as I said, so if you look at this diagram, so you have your standard data model, and the right side, you have a canonical data information data model. So it's very user-friendly. You can use this drag and drop tools. That's nothing but we're calling as a mapping tool. There are pre-built, handled standard implementations available, where you could normalize and denormalize the data from different source systems. And as I said, the CAM is not fixed. So it can be modified and extended to fit your needs. You can create not only for a standard CAM model, you can design more custom objects, custom fields, and it could just access through a different metadata services as well. So this is our mapping from a one single example perspective, one customer name mapped to different individual across different objects and products. So if we look at our data cloud canonical data model, we have a party data, which is talking about one organization table, and the other one is individual table. So you can look at how we are the source systems, we're connecting it to your canonical model system, data cloud. So we can connect multiple tables of different source systems into one single table, and we can design one party ID, nothing but your one unified individual ID, and that can use only for marketers and analytics teams as well. So this is how it looked like. And now we can talk about our typical model. Now, when we come to our data cloud, you can understand how the data model structure is going to design. So if we look at the data model structure, you have different kind of things. One with, you can create a data stream in customer data platform. Number one is you need to bring the data from different sources, right? So the number one is you have to create a data stream in customer data platform. Once you create a data stream, and immediately what it does, it will create a data lake objects from your data stream. This is number one. Once you've done the streaming, it will immediately create a data stream, the data lake objects. Once the data lake objects has been created, immediately you have an option here. You can go and then map your DLOs to a data model objects, nothing but your data lake objects to a data model objects. And once you design the data model object, then you can use the data model objects to design calculated insights, to create segmentations and then activations as well. So this is the flow of your complete data model process, the data model step-by-step process, which is going to be happening in data cloud, right? So if you look at, so the same thing that I would like to talk about. So there are steps to promote data source objects to data model. So from the data stream record, you can click on mapping. Once you've done it, you'll go to the data lake objects. Once the data lake objects has been done, then you have a concept of the automatically comes to the data model. I'm going to showcase how it look like on a step-by-step process. Once you define the relationships between the data model objects to which you just mapped, and then you can just leverage for the data model object as a final thing for all your needs, right? So once you design your, the data model structure, you need to understand how the data source objects to be harmonizing into data model objects. Because when we talk about this, scenario, from here data stream, now from data lake objects to data model objects. So here, what's going to be happen is, so you have a concept of data source. Let's consider this is a B2C Commerce Cloud. So this is your data source object with different headers. You have different headers in B2C Commerce Cloud. So once you come your Salesforce sales, there is one attribute called order header, nothing but order ID. There is another attribute called order number. So in CAM model, it's nothing but I don't want to be created two different kind of records. I'm going to just map my two fields to one data model object field, nothing but sale order.id. So the same thing, we're going to map multiple attributes into one single attribute. That solves all our business, because that's where it automatically creates a lot of a purification for us to manage our mapping, and that gives a lot of flexibility for us. Because if you look at all these use cases, right, because in some cases both the data sets have the fields that map to the same data model attribute. So in other cases only single data set map to data model and attribute. There are some other use cases where the three fields where you can map to one single data model object field. So that's where it's very important for us to manage. It's very important that we should always ask our data aware specialists to understand what are all the respective data source object fields and what are all the relevant data model objects where we need to map, right? So apart from another modeling concept is, so if you look at your raw data, so if you look at this is your B2C commerce data, which is nothing but sale order data. You have order ID, customer ID, purchase data, purchase information, shipping information, how many number of items and total amount and all, right? So when you look at your order header data, which contains a different kind of headers, and if you look at your web sale order data, so there is an order ID and the customer ID, which is, and then what is the number of SKU he has been purchased, because this is your history of your data. This is the right sale order detail data set. You have two different kind of data sets. The common parameter is the order ID. So if you look at one order ID 3601, and this one order ID, they have multiple number of orders has been placed with different kind of SKUs altogether, and a different kind of quantity and different kind of unit price and subtotals. Now with this behavior, you have a flexibility in data cloud data model, which you could design many to one relationships as well. So what it does is it automatically gives you a flexibility of designing a object relationships in data model, similarly like lookup and mask detail in our Salesforce normal core platform. So if you look at the relationships, how you define the web sale order details, if you look at our web sale order details, this order details has an order, and this order has end-to-one kind of a cardinality. So what it does is it will use order ID as a primary field, and it'll go and then pick the related object records, and then the system is saying that what is the related field that you want to go and then map with this related object. So you could design a relationships. If you design these relationships, that gives a lot of balancing on the load processing from a EBS perspective, that gives a lot of results from our operations perspective. So always requesting and recommending everyone, if you see some sort of relations for your data model for mapping of data lake to data source, or data source to data lake, or data lake to data model. So let's design some relationships that translates when applied to your data model objects as well. So if you look at modeling, how it look like, so we have our data stream first. We created one data stream, and once we create our data stream, so we have flexibility that we can go and then start data mapping. So once you've done the data mapping, you have your source table in the left-hand side where the data of the source object, and you can have an option of data model entities, which is nothing but your CAM, which is nothing but your data model. You can choose an object, and then you could quickly, look at your standard data model available, the standard data cloud objects. And if you wish, you can have a flexibility to create custom data model. And then you can add the custom attributes to a standard objects, and then you can create your own attributes. Some use cases where the sale order has some more data which doesn't satisfy your standard data model fields, where you can create multiple custom fields for your existing sale order standard data model as well. So you can have that flexibility, but make sure when you create a custom object that of course inherit the shape of the source schema, but always you should put up best practices to create a custom data model which you can extend the standard data model somehow by adding new objects and fields and relationships would be always the right choice for what I believe. So this is how it looked like, the final one. So once you design all your source fields, and then you can have a mapping of your sale order data to your web sales order header data or web sale order details data. So you have a lot of flexibility that you can go and then just drag and drop the respective relevant fields. That gives one-on-one mapping of data source schema to a data model schema. So there are a couple of links that I would like to talk about. It is one with data cloud, object schema, other one data objects in data cloud. So if anyone wanted to go and then see what are all the data model subject areas has been given by data cloud, the case, engagement, loyalty, party, privacy model, product subject area, sales order data object, additional standard data model objects. So this is a placeholder where you can go and then find out. And then there is one more, which is data objects. What are all the data source object, what are all the data lake objects and data model objects? I would request to go and then find this links as well. Just go through it. It gives a lot of information as well. All right, so let's go into the demo. Now I'm going to showcase how the entire data model looks like and how you are going to do us. But before on this, I would like to talk about, so CDP is nothing but the same login. You're going to use the same login.salesforce.com, or for sandbox, you can use test.salesforce.com. So I'm going to log in with my CDP trial account, data cloud trial account. So if you look at once I'm logging into it, so the home screen, we would love to talk about your overview of your consumption, how many data streams you leverage, how many segments you leverage, how many activations have been activated. You can see all this full profile, and you have a concept of, you can, in the setup, you can see your customer data cloud setup, where you can go on and do a setup process. And then you have a concept of all the tabs here, data streams, data lake objects, the one which I've told about, data streams. You'll design one data stream as per this. You create a data stream in customer data platform from here, data streams. And then once you create a data stream, so here, what I'll do is I'm going to create a new data stream. So I have a different data streams, one with the Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, because I enable Salesforce CRM and enable Marketing Cloud. And I have mobile app events website. I'm going to bring data from mobile apps websites. I'm going to bring data from Amazon S3. I'm going to install data kits. This is a placeholder where like an app exchange, where you can, if someone of your developer has been built a data kits somewhere outside of your CDP, you can use this data kits to install the data identity resolution sets or anything which is related to the CDP. You could use this as a migration tool. And MuleSoft Anypoint Exchange, you could use MuleSoft Anypoint Exchange to connect all these systems into and bring the data from all these systems into data cloud. So once what we have to do is, if you look at your marketing cloud, your Salesforce CRM or anything, so you could design, first choose your Salesforce CRM data stream, and then it will ask you your relevant org objects. So there are predefined bundles available under Salesforce, Sales Cloud, Service Cloud. You always choose a predefined starter bundle. If you could go to an App Exchange link where it will give you a starter data bundles where you can install that starter data bundles as well. Or some of the objects where, if you can look at all objects, you could see all the Salesforce objects, and you could just choose the Salesforce objects that what you required. And then you can just go at the end. Let's take an example. If I choose case, so it'll give a flexibility for me to choose a respective case fields. So it'll ask you what kind of data that you're trying to ingest into data cloud. Is it the profile data or engagement data or other data? It's not my profile data. Profile data is always my contact or lead. Engagement data, it's a case. Of course, it has an engagement data. I'm going to choose my engagement data, and you could define event time field. So this will help you out for your audit perspective while saving your data. I'm going to choose a created date. So the primary key is always case ID. And when you click on next, so it'll ask you what is your data stream name will be created in the backend. You could just rename it according to your naming conventions. So the most important thing, this data stream, which is connecting to Salesforce, which is hourly data stream. So the frequency is hourly. Every hour, the data, it will take an hourly time for the first time. From the next time onwards, you have a flexibility to set up the batch, and then the batch will run every 1 hour, or you can run every 24 hours as well. But when we talk about our ingestion time, I think that time we can talk about our best practices. So once you come to the screen and then click on deploy, what it does is it'll create in the backend one data stream object. If I take one of the data stream, which is nothing but the contact. So this is my data stream table, and you look at all my header. This is my contact table. Look at my account ID, all the contact tables, and look at my fields, the relevant fields that what have been mapped with Salesforce API field name. And once I came here, I have a concept of here. I've already mapped it, but here, if you look at, you get a concept of add mapping. But here I already mapped it. So You have to go and then map it here. This is the step number 2. So look at this contact table. So this contact table, I've just mapped into a different entities because I've used my contact point address, my contact point email, my contact point phone. So Data Cloud has been comes up with the best practices that what are all the map fields that needs to be mapped, or at least you can look at your respective data model. If you look at engagement data model, so it'll ask you the device application engagement. You can look at your architecture of the engagement data model as well. I'll give you complete data model about engagement. If you look at the SMS template DMO reference, the data model object reference, we'll give you the complete data model objects, how it look like, because you always believe that if you look at our data model, so the data stream concept is done. The next one is the data lake objects. These data lake objects, always you have DLLs, nothing but your object name dot your underscore DLL. So when you come to the DMOs will always comes with your object name dot DLM. So this is a Norman pronunciation or the nomenclature for managing the API structure. If you look at this, when you've done this data mapping, so you have a concept of, you can go and then edit this mapping, and then you can just add, look at all your mapping. And if you look at the mapping is perfectly all right with your data lake object, your data model object on the object level. And then you can click on save, and you have flexibility of adding or creating more number of attributes within the same table. If you look at your account table, there are plenty of tables available, plenty of standards, all objects, the standard objects, and different kind of data model objects of Salesforce Data Cloud has been available. You can look at this. You could choose a respective relevant objects that you would like to map it with to design individual profile. But most of the times, individual party, contact point address, consent email is all common for designing individual ID profile. And there is a flexibility for you to create a custom object, and you do have a flexibility to create fields within the custom object. If you look at one of these fields, I already choose contact point address. So here, if you look at all these fields, if you want to create more number of fields as well, you have an option to create custom fields as well within the Salesforce standard or the Data Cloud standard object. All right. So this is how the look and feel from a data model or a mapping perspective. So once you've done this mapping, and once you click on save, automatically this model will run. Automatically this model will run in the backend, and immediately it will produce one data model object. Because the data lake object is the one which we done the mapping. If you look at the mapping that I've done contact, so this is my mapping, the DLL data lake object. And if we look at the details of the data lake, when was my last updated on, how many number of records? Because once you design the mapping and click on OK, it automatically gives you the number of records who has been mapped from source system to your data model object. If you want to review the mapping, and click on review mapping as well, right? So once the data lake objects is done, then immediately what will happen is it immediately creates one data model object in the backend, which is nothing but your contact point email, contact point address, because the data model objects you selected from a contact is, because if you look at data lake object, my contact 00D8Z12, I use 4 objects, one with contact point address, contact point phone, and I use another 2. So if you look at my contact point address, always the data model objects has been starting with your SSOT, the single source of truth as a object API name, and it ends with your DLM, data lake model object. So this completely automated process, which is designed in the backend, and what it does is it will give you the mapping records of what are the fields have been mapped at the time of your modeling. Address line you're mapped with the SSOT address line, and you can look at your city name mapped with city name, because your source field mapped with your data model object of data cloud, your data source ID, data source object ID. So these are all some of the fields where I mapped it. And this is how the data model will be look like from contact point address. But there's a question saying that I would like to combine contact point address with a different kind of relationships. I want to bring contact point address with my main contact. So you can choose a relationship, you can create a new relationship, and then choose your option of which field you would like to add, contact point address, cordiality with one-on-one with any other table of contact. You have a campaigns, you have a contacts, individual ID, and all the tables. And then you can choose a field. What is your contact point address ID, which is you can choose individual ID or whatever which is relevant to it. You can just activate it and then click on save. So you could design more number of relationships. Once you design this relationship and then click on save, what it does is it'll produce more number of records coming from different database, different data lake objects. So that gives a lot of flexibility for us to design individual profile. So these are all process, all the data lake, the mapping or the data model, all has been running in the backend automated process jobs. And make sure if you would like to change anything on the data model, please don't change anything on the data model. If you want to change, please go and then change in data lake objects. First change in data lake objects and then come back, because data lake object is the one who produces a mapping. Once you've done the mapping and everything and click on save, it automatically runs the job. And then once it runs the job, it will make your status ready. And once it is ready, then you will get to know the results of the latest fields that you've added and done the mapping. Once you've done the mapping, it automatically comes in visible under data model for the relevant data model object. So these are all the main data model objects from a data cloud, one with data streams, data lake objects, data model, data explorer. So this data explorer will help you out to explore the data. We look at the respective data model object, what you've designed, like take an example of individual ID. It has 9 records coming from different sources of systems. So this is the final individual table where you can leverage for your, because it doesn't have any duplicates, because this is a unification that has been done for your data explorer, because this is where you've done all your deduplication, all your mapping for individual table. And this produces this many number of results from different sources of systems that what you've designed for. So it has total 9 number of columns, and then it'll bring all the data from a different source of systems. All right, so this is what the data model from a data cloud perspective. Let's see if anyone has any questions. So DSO is a data source object or data stream object? It's a data source object, Lakshmi. Thanks you, Trinath. The entire process is for getting data into Sales Service Cloud from other platform. The entire process is for, I think is, I didn't understand Srikalai, because the entire process in sense like, so you have a Sales Service Cloud data, which is combined. You have different categories of data like profile, engagement data, profile data, and other data. So you need to define what kind of data that you would like to ingesting into data cloud. So whether each and every Sales Service Cloud, you have a different kind of tables, case data, contact lead data, or some other transactions data. So engagement data. So you need to define and categorize it. Is there Service Sales Cloud data stream near real-time time sync? Milton, I've shown you, right? So 1 hour is the sync time. I don't think any real-time until unless we use any ingestion API kind of a concept, but I won't recommend that, because you don't want to get the real-time kind of a thing, right? When you work with data cloud, so the customer experience is always sit with data cloud, right? So you always have a near real-time data sitting in Sales Service Cloud itself, because it's in the same core platform. But when you want to bring the data into CDP, which is nothing but data cloud, and then send the data to marketers or the marketing cloud, then I don't want to recommend to do a real-time thing, because it'll make you the whole lot of heavy lifting. Because when you look at my architecture for the last session, the batch jobs will run, and then it will working with your complete EBS, elastic load balancing, and it does complete processing operations to give you the perfect results. Is auto mapping between data stream? Is auto mapping between data stream and data model available? Auto mapping between data stream and data model available. There are some points available, Shrikant. There are, what I mean to say. If you look at the complete starting of the system, what I mean to say, like, so it's not like a data loader, auto match fields for adding a header and all. What it does is you have to do from scratch onwards. So when you go to your data lake object, so if you look at any one of your table, look at your campaign, So what it does is it will not show you anything else. It will show you add mapping or create mapping. You have to create mapping. Once you click on review mapping here, so you have to go from scratch onwards. So here you have to start from scratch. Here it only shows this is your source object. So what you have to do is you always have to go and then search the different respective entity, and then you have to start mapping it. So it's like choose this, and then you can choose this element. It automatically does a mapping. So it's very simple and cool feature. And if you want to see some other data lake object, what you design, you just choose your from this drop down. That's it. You don't need to go back and forth. You just need to choose from the mapping table itself. So what I'm saying is there is no auto mapping available. You have to do it from scratch. Yeah. So Milton, how it works is like this. Exactly, you're right. Zini is a customer real-time data platform, but the entire data cloud, which is based on your the core platform, which is completely working with a metadata plus data lake architecture. So it's always a real time for you. Because when you want to do the data from marketers, because you need to do permutations and combinations of your data, right? Because you load the data into CDP, nothing but data cloud, and then the data cloud has to done the job, right? Once you've done the mapping, it has to go and then map the respective fields, and then the backend job runs, and then it will produce a right data model for you to design the unified profile. So some native cloud sales service is real time, but for data cloud, if you want to leverage the same sales CRM data to marketers, of course, it's a hourly job. We require that amount of time. Otherwise, the entire system will be, collapse, and then, it doesn't gives you some sort of results. There are some other real-time data available within the core platform, like sales service cloud data, and you could see the marketing engagements, and you could see the B2C commerce cloud because it is a direct connected to sales service cloud, right? So when we're going to take particular subject required from a sales service cloud into the CDP to design data model. That's right, Srikala. That's right. So let's take an example, lead. Lead has a multiple data attributes, right? Lead has a lead name and lead industry or lead record or different kind of attributes from a data model objective. So in the data model, you have a concept of, you can take individual record, contact point email, contact point address, contact point phone. So you need to map all the lead fields into different tables of data cloud. And you could use that data cloud tables for design a lot of cardinality, and you could design for a better best relationships to produce a lot of results. If the incoming data doesn't honor the cardinality, then what action has been taken? So Balasubramaniam, if that is incoming data, right, let's take an example of B2C commerce cloud. So that doesn't provide any cardinality because the cardinality has to work with your data model objects. Because the system doesn't know what kind of cardinality has been designed for B2C commerce cloud. You have to tell the system that what kind of relationship that works for you in order to map the source to our model objects. The cardinality is correct, actually. The cardinality is a best fit for designing your platform in such a way. It should be work with an enterprise standards as well. Can we also bring customer objects of Salesforce CRM into DLO? Yes, Lakshmi, we can bring custom objects of Salesforce CRM into DLO. Is CDP data model something similar to data warehouse data model where we'll have dimensions and key figures? Yes, Srikant. So the dimensions and key figures will always work with once you design the data model, right? Now, if you can go to the identity resolutions, then and the calculated insights, then when you design your data model here, you're done with the data model. So if you look at data model, your campaign, contact point, address, and all the data. So you could use one of these data model data objects. You can design this data model. You can design identity resolutions, calculated insights for the measurement and for your dimensions. The key figures, everything has been done with this calculated insight. The calculated insights are always used data model object only. The resulting value, what is available here, is going to use inside your measures, inside your dimensions. All right, team. So let's jump into the next topic. We have our setup as well. So let's talk to our customer data cloud setup. Now we talked about a data model, but before when we jump into a data cloud setup, So always we have a different kind of a topics. Number one is to provisioning. And after that, we should create a profiles in our Salesforce Data Cloud. And we should assign the permission sets. And after that, we should set up the marketing cloud connection and sales service cloud connection. Because these are all the pre-configured steps, which is designed by Data Cloud. Now we'll look toward how this setup is going to be happen. So once account has been provisioned in the first time, so you'll get an email from your marketing cloud account manager, and that gives you to go and then configure your customer data platform. So the number one, what you have to do is, you know your user, because if you look at my user, I'll go to my user, my team of account executive has told me that your account is ready. So when you look at your account is ready, you have a concept of, you can go to your advanced user details, and then you can go and then assign the permission set first. The permission set is customer data platform admin. This is the one permission set you have to assign. Once you assign this permission set immediately, you have to go and then click on save. Once you click on save, you just refresh the screen, and then you can go and then click on the setting icon. Now we can see this option, customer data cloud setup. So this is the first step that you have to do it. You have to go and then add the permission set of customer data cloud admin. Once you've done it, and then automatically this option is going to showcase. You have to click on customer data cloud setup. So once you click on this setup, it will open your CDP setup, the data cloud setup. Now here you have an option to set up everything. When I go to my, so it'll ask you to prepare your customer cloud instance, because it does all the steps, and it'll create one tenant specific endpoint. This is especially useful for integrating your CDP or data cloud with third-party systems using your ingestion APIs and all the stuff. So make sure you just need to remember this tenant specific endpoint. If you want to design some integration with different systems using platform events, this endpoint is really useful for pushing the data from data cloud to different systems. So this setup will help you out for configuring. So the biggest question is, when you've done the setup or when you start the setup, these options in the data streams, when you click on new, you can't able to see any other data streams. You can simply see some of the data streams called AS3, install data kits and all, but you can't able to see marketing cloud, Salesforce CRM, all these four, it won't be show anything. If you look at mobile app website, right? So when you go and then look at my website in mobile apps. So currently I created one real-time mobile events, real-time web events. Yeah, I don't have any schema. So we look at this real-time web events. What I'm going to delete this. So currently I only have a mobile events. So if I look at, I'll refresh my screen. So the data stream will automatically delete it from your data stream panel. You can see my web app is completely gone because I have not enabled my event stream here. So what I'm saying is, this is the first point for us to see. You have to design the data streams here. You have to configure all the data streams here first in order to start the project, in order to start working with the data streams. So this is a placeholder where you have to go and then configure all your B2C Commerce Cloud, Marketing Cloud, and Salesforce CRM, website and mobile apps. And you have an ingestion API, the one which I talked about. You can create or connect ingestion API sources from different third-party systems, Interaction Studio, cloud storage, and if there are any external activation platforms where you can go and then you can enable that as well. So you look at all these configurations. So this is a placeholder where you can create your source data streams. So let's take an example, Marketing Cloud. So it has a series of steps that I would like to talk about. But as a part of a step, this is the second step where you can go and then create your setup of the Marketing Cloud, the setup of your CDP. Once it is done that, so ultimately you're an admin. So you have to go and then create a profiles for your team of data cloud. So there are a team called data cloud specialist or data cloud aware specialist or data cloud system specialist. What you can do is you can go and then click on profiles. And then you can create and then what you can do is you can click on profiles, and then you can just choose your identity user profile. And then you can clone this profile and just name this profile maybe customer data cloud bootcamp. Once you save this profile, so what you have to do is you have to go and then edit the respective profile, and then just give an access of your customer data cloud. So here, make this as a default tab, the customer data cloud, and click on save. And then you can go on and create a users with this profile. You can go on and create the users with this profile. And then you can, once you create a user with this profile, the customer data cloud bootcamp, and then just choose any one of the role, or just once you've done this, what you have to do is you have to come back, and then after creation of a user, you should go back and then create provide certain permission sets to the respective user. There are different kind of permission sets available. They are like customer data platform marketing specialist, marketing manager, data aware specialist, and you do have another 3 data permission sets available. Platform admin. So platform admin is only for a person who managing entire data cloud in terms of data streams creation and everything. And data aware specialist has an access of looking at the data lake objects, data explorer, and the marketing manager has an access of marketing cloud activations and segmentations. And segmentation specialist and manager has the same rules, already has been done, but these are all some of the permission sets that you can go and then assign to certain users based on his role, based on his duties is going to be developed inside data cloud. So this is the basic process for everyone to follow from a data cloud perspective. This is what the setup is going to be do. It's very simple. So you don't need to take multiple things, but there are some things where you should be aware of it. So those things are, if you look at, we've created a user, we provision the customer data platform instance, and we create a profiles, marketing manager or a data aware specialist. We assign permission sets. And once you've done this setup, then the next setup is to go on and set up the marketing cloud connection. Because with the current data cloud scenario, there are customers where they opt for marketing cloud or not, because the current data cloud has been leveraged for not only for marketers, it can leverage for your analyst, your Tableau, because data cloud for Tableau also coming inside with the new license. And you could use the same data cloud for data warehouse as well for designing a lot of structural data. And it sometimes you may or may not require to set up the marketing cloud connection. But if you want to leverage unified data to travel to marketing cloud and then use the data for your personalization and targeting for different campaigns and different social channels, so you have to go and then connect your marketing cloud connection. So step number 1, what you have to do is you have to go and then enter the credentials, because this has been already set up. So I would like to showcase how it looked like. The step number 1, how it look like is when you click on manage, so it automatically take you and ask you a respective this kind of a screen, what kind of marketing cloud account you would like to connect. You always have to connect with your primary BU of your marketing cloud. Once you connect this, it always asks you that what kind of business units you would like to activate for sending data of unified profile back to your respective business unit. So you should choose the respective primary business unit if you would like to, if you wish to have, because that's where you can use your shared data extension model to sync the data from different data business units as well. So these are all the 2 screens where it comes. Once you choose the respective marketing cloud account, your marketing cloud account, and the respective business unit, once you click on save, it automatically asks you a next level, which is nothing but data bundles. Marketing cloud has a default data bundles available, which is nothing but all 3 channels bundle: SMS data, mobiles, email data, and your mobile push data. So once you click on start, so it automatically fetch all the engagement data of all the 3 tables, and then it will be creating under data stream or your data lake objects. So once you've done this setup, then automatically you go and then click on activate. So this is an option where you can go and then click on activate, because this is where which business units you would like to activate for sending the unified data back to your marketing cloud under one of your shared data extensions. You could see the data cloud customer audiences under one of the shared data extensions. There is a shared data extensions. Under that, you can have a folder called customer 360 audiences. Under the customer 360 audiences, you could see the respective unified individual data that has been activated as a part of your data cloud exercise. So this is how you can activate your marketing cloud instance. And at the same time, you do have sales service cloud as well. But let me see if anyone has any questions. Why do we need to clone profiles? Why not standard identity user profile? All right. So the best practice always, Lakshmi, the identity profile. Okay. So Aishwarya already replied. If a user needs permissions or access to a custom object, in future the clone ones can be easily updated. Yes. So we always have a, if you look at the data cloud package, the data cloud package comes with a certain number of profiles. Ideally, from a better experience and best practice perspective, I always recommend to leverage identity profile that has been easily configurable and easily manageable from updating a custom object permissions as well. I thought it was an org level connection for marketing cloud. Yes, Balasubramania, it's an org level connection. So the step number one, it will ask you your respective org. The first thing it'll ask you the respective org. I think I choose as a data ingestion. I think it's the wrong screen, should have chosen it. Yeah, that's right. So the first thing it'll ask you the respective business unit. I can't able to disconnect this because this is the org that I got it from one of the partner teams. But yeah, so ideally this will connect you the main org, the marketing cloud main org. The first step is connecting with the marketing cloud main org. Once you connect with the marketing cloud main org, then it'll ask you which business unit you would like to ingest the data from marketing cloud to data cloud. So this is how the marketing cloud connection will works. And all the once you've done and activate the marketing cloud connection, so what it does is you can see all the data sitting under your data lake objects. If you look at your SFMC engagement bounds data, scores data, send data, open data, complaints, snapshots, unscribed data. So you can see all the data which is available from marketing cloud to your data cloud. Your SFMC subscribers, contact point emails. So this is how the data look like from your subscriber data, and you could map the subscriber information, which is nothing but if you look at your SFMC subscriber data versus your individual unified data while we're doing the mapping inside your data explorer. So the subscriber data. So the subscriber data can see subscriber key that has been mapped with the individual ID. And at the same time, the same subscriber key can be mapped with your party ID as well. Look at the party ID and party identification name goes to the identification name. And it's quite simple. So this is how the marketing cloud connection is going to be happening. At the same time, you do have the same level of thing, which is nothing but your sales service cloud connector, Salesforce CRM. So the only thing what we can see is with this release, you can only have up to 5 Salesforce orgs you can connect with this Salesforce CRM. So if you look at this, when you click on new, so you have connect another or connect sandbox. But with this latest release, you can have an option to connect 5 Salesforce orgs within Data Cloud. And the same thing, there are some starter bundles available. As I said, if someone is working with any other CDP org where you can leverage their data bundles to ingest the data via data kits. And some of the data bundles what Salesforce provides is loyalty data, sales data, service cloud data. And when you look at new, right? So you'll have an option to connect Salesforce, and then you can go and then connect with, and then it'll ask you what kind of data you would like to ingest. So if you look at loyalty, sales, service, some CRM, health cloud, unified health cloud scoring data as well. So some of the standard data bundles which gives free from Salesforce, and you could connect your own orgs. You have a limit of up to 5 Salesforce orgs to be connected with Data Cloud. So it's quite simple, Salesforce CRM connection. And once it does this, what it does is the same concept. It'll go and then look at all the data streams, what you've done. So look at your contact data, and you look at your case data and all this stuff. So once the record has been created under the data stream table, you have to go and then map it. Once you've done the mapping, you can see that mapping under data lake objects. Once you've done the mapping and click on save, it automatically comes and sit with data model objects. If you want to explore the data, what kind of data has been received from different source systems to Data Cloud, use leverage the Data Explorer, so that you will see everything in one shot using a simple UI. Questions? Now we can connect 5 Sales Cloud instances with one Marketing Cloud, Data Cloud, in one. Now we can connect 5 Sales Cloud. With it, we can connect 5 Sales Cloud to Data Cloud within one Marketing Cloud, Data Cloud. Yes, only one Marketing Cloud to Data Cloud. We can't connect multiple Marketing Clouds to Data Cloud. It's like 5 to 1, 1 to 1. Yeah, so pretty much this. Yeah, so let's go back our presentation. So there are some of the things which I would like to highlight, especially on Marketing Cloud, when you're integrating Marketing Cloud with Data Cloud. So as Subramanya said, so the marketing, to make sure that your Marketing Cloud user default BU is set to Enterprise ID while you're connecting Marketing Cloud. And while you setting up your data sources to tell your Data Cloud way to pull data, and also what kind of data mapping and segmentation is going to be leveraged in Marketing Cloud. So Marketing Cloud, Data Cloud only supports Marketing Cloud Enterprise 2.0 connections only. If any of the customer has Marketing Cloud existing account, I would recommend and request to upgrade to Enterprise 2.0 so that only 2.0 accounts can be connected to the Data Cloud. All right. And there are some other specific things that everyone should understand. The main important thing is you can create a data stream and map data to the affiliation DMO. So there is a different data model objects available, especially for Marketing Cloud engagement data, which is nothing but your affiliation DMO. So I always recommend to leverage that affiliation DMO tables for mapping of your engagement data back to your Data Cloud. And the most important thing is the data can take up to 24 hours to appear in your affiliation DMO table inside your Data Cloud. And this Marketing Cloud to Data Cloud, I always recommend to have 24-hour sync because you have plenty of engagement data is going to be happening for every 24. If you keep 1 hour sync with Data Cloud, I always not recommend that because if you do it, you will not get the real value of the system. I always recommend to have a minimum of 24 hours of job or 24 hours of time to go and then sync with the engagement data back from SFMC to Data Cloud. All right. So these are all some of the things that I would recommend and request every person to follow so that it would be so easy and smooth in order to set up the accounts. When it comes to installing Sales and Service Clouds, you always have, why you're connecting this is always to manage and, control the scope of your data ingestion, data action targets, and activation from Salesforce CRM. So within the Salesforce CRM, when you're connecting customer data platform to any Salesforce CRM org, you must and should have an API access. If your org don't have an API access for the corresponding user that you're trying to connect, and that you can't able to connect customer data cloud, and as I said, you can connect total of 5 CRM orgs to a customer data cloud. And there is a concept of if a Salesforce org which is already connected to Salesforce, let's take an example. While you're provisioning, if your AE will help you out for connecting your Salesforce org that has customer data platform already provisioned. Let's take an example. If you want to connect a Salesforce org because the same data cloud, which is not connected to the same Salesforce org, maybe is connecting to a different Salesforce org, which is not part of your package. So in that concept, where what you have to do is you have to follow corresponding details about how you can connect to an external Salesforce org and entry of credentials. So if you want to connect your external logs, you have to take some sort of permission, especially on IP ranges. So you have to allow a couple of IP ranges that works with the Data Cloud. So I given some links where you can go through and allow all the domains within the Salesforce IP addresses. So the other thing is if you're connecting your Data Cloud to an external log, and if you haven't done the My Domain activation, then I think please choose an option called Select. Don't redirect from My Domain settings so that it doesn't affect your connections or it doesn't affect your firewalls as well. So these are all some of the installing steps which you need to aware of while connecting Sales Service Cloud with Data Cloud. So there are some of the resources. Data Cloud admin and setup implementation guide, some of Trail Mix Data Cloud for exploring the customer data clouds, and you could define how you can map your data and define the data model. So there are some of the the best use cases and the resources that what I've seen. There are some use cases given in the Trail Mix as well. I would love everyone to go through it and then just observe I know the org is not available for everyone, But with this, I think probably you should understand some sort of how the data model works and how the connections is going to be work, and how you can map the data and how you can view the data. So there's one point where I would like to talk about in Data Explorer. If you choose any one of your data model objects, so choose my sale order. So you have a concept where you can go and then copy the SQL from here, and then you can use the same SQL to your Tableau if you want to build some sort of analytics. And you can use the same SQL for building your calculated insights as well to bring some sort of readiness from your KPIs perspective, and then look at the primary values and all the stuff. Yep, I think pretty much that's it for today's session. And let me know if anyone has any questions. Yes, Ralph, you can use this for your analytics data. So currently, it has been connected to your Tableau, but in near future, Data Cloud has been enabling for Tableau as well for analytics. So it will come in very soon. Yeah, here we'll get an option called Connect with Tableau. Yep. Any other questions? All right, if no questions, I think we are done with our session. And thank you for joining with us today. I know this is some little bit practice is required for us to understand more. And if you have any questions, I think feel free to ask me the questions on, in this forum, or you could, yes.
Funny, Bala here. So one question was, can we connect to only one marketing cloud BU from one CDP instance?
No, Bala. I think BUs you can connect, Bala. Multiple BUs you can connect. You could choose a multiple BUs here.
Okay.
You go and do it, right? If you can go to my marketing cloud. So if I look at my enable this yellow, you can see yellow profile business unit mapping data. You can just enable this. Yeah, minus. You have an option, Bala. You can go and then activate the same data for multiple business units. Just choose the respective business units from here to here.
And how will the data will be differentiated then? Do we kind of give custom names?
You know how it works, Bala. So when you design this data, right? So you have a concept of activations here. So in the activations, you'll get to know what kind of which business unit you would like to activate that data to, because everything activations or calculated insights, all this data action targets, all this has been designed using your data model tables. So let's take an example, right? So you have your contact point address, or you can use your email engagement data that you need to send back to your marketing cloud once you design the profile or individual data. So if you want to send this data if you want to send this data to all the business units, it doesn't make sense. I think it's the same data where you can go and then put it in the primary BU and then use the filters to get the data into different business units. But if you would love to create the same data, which is a cloning of multiple data unification, or you can design different identity resolutions, or you could decouple these individuals into 4 different individual tables. You could do that. You could design that data model and create the same individual data model, and then you could activate some different data model objects to a different data model, different business units in marketing cloud.
So funny, let me rephrase my question then. Say suppose I have BUs for India, Singapore, and some other countries, right? Individual BUs for each country. So I want to ingest the data from individual BUs and also activate them on those particular BUs only, right?
Yes.
So I understand that in during the target or during activation, we can select the BU. How do we select during the ingestion? Do we create a new data stream for each BU and differentiate with a different custom name, but we can use the same DMO?
Okay, so what you're asking is, so while we pulling the data from different BUs as a different data stream tables, that's what you're asking?
Correct, yes.
Okay, so how it works is, so I don't have the new account, but how it works is, it'll walk you at the because it always recommending you to keep the primary account level, because you getting the data from a primary account BU level. So primary account BU level has a data for all the engagement data, Bala, right? In Marketing Cloud, you have engagement data that is tied up to the primary BU. So in the primary BU itself, it does go and then store the data. It doesn't get you connecting with all the business units and then create a different data stream objects here. It's only one, that's it.
Right. So, yep. So then that differentiation does not happen, right? Like I cannot say if the data came from the India BU or the Singapore BU.
No. That's not happening actually. You just need to design inside your data explorer, inside your data model to map it different different fields, and then you have to design that. You have to define different attributes, maybe some country, and then map the country field to your data model object, and then get the data accordingly. That's it.
Okay. Thanks, Sunny.
Thanks, Bala. But Bala, the one thing is, like, once you get the data from one, but you could send the data into multiple business units if you wish to, because all the data which can sit with different multiple business units upon activation.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, that I understood.
Yep. Any other questions? All right, team. Thank you for joining. There's a quiz. I think I'll hand it over to Prashant. If he's available, I'll stop the recording.